In a world where panic spreads faster than truth, where noise drowns out reason and minds unravel under pressure, what if the greatest act of courage today is simply to stay calm, to stand steady while everyone else loses theirs? This is not weakness. This is power. Welcome to the art of calm in chaos. We wake up each day and step into a world we do not control. The markets shift. The weather changes. People say things we didn't expect. Plans fall apart. And yet, we act surprised, even offended, when life doesn't bend to our will. It's a quiet madness, inherited from a culture that told us we could and should control everything. The Stoics, those ancient philosophers of clarity, believed otherwise. Epictetus, born a slave and later a teacher of emperors, said it simply: "Some things are up to us, and some things are not." This sentence may sound ordinary, but understood fully, it's revolutionary. Because in a world obsessed with mastery, it teaches surrender, not out of weakness but out of wisdom. You cannot control the opinions of others. You cannot control the outcome of every effort. You cannot stop the world from spinning into uncertainty. But you can govern your response. You can train your attention. You can choose your attitude in the face of chaos. And that, the Stoics would argue, is where your true power lives. Modern psychology echoes this idea. Studies on locus of control show that people who focus on what they can influence, rather than what they can't, are more resilient, less anxious, and more content. The paradox is that by accepting limits, we expand our inner freedom. Letting go is not giving up. It's refusing to waste energy on illusions. The weather is not yours. The traffic is not yours. The headlines are not yours. But your breath, that is yours. Your words, your decisions, your values, these are domains the world cannot trespass unless you open the door. Imagine standing in a storm. You can scream at the wind, or you can plant your feet, lower your shoulders, and breathe. The wind will howl either way. But only one path leads to peace. And so, as the world loses itself in rage and panic, you stand still, not out of denial, but out of clarity. You've learned what to hold and what to release. Nothing outside you has the power to disturb you until you let it in. The Stoics didn't just teach resilience. They taught something more radical, that events are neutral, and meaning is something we assign. As Epictetus put it, it's not what happens to you, but how you interpret it, that matters. This isn't toxic positivity. It's cognitive alchemy, the ability to transmute chaos into calm, not by controlling the world, but by mastering the lens through which you see it. Modern cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, rests on this ancient principle. Our thoughts create our emotions, not the world itself. Perception is not a mirror, it's a filter, and most of us never question the filter. We assume our first reaction is the truth. But Stoicism invites us to pause, to step back, to ask, is this really bad or just uncomfortable? Is this an emergency or just unexpected? Think of a delayed flight. To one person, it's a ruined day. To another, it's a chance to rest. The same event, two entirely different lives. What changed? Not reality, just the story around it. And the story is yours to edit. In moments of crisis, perception is your first defense. The calmer your lens, the clearer your decisions. Panic is often a misinterpretation, a storm of thoughts, not facts. To see clearly is to suffer less. Not because the world becomes kinder, but because your mind becomes stronger. The Stoics weren't cold. They felt pain, loss, betrayal, but they refused to let those things define their identity. Marcus Aurelius, ruling an empire in plague and war, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So the next time the world throws its fire at you, pause. Don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask instead, "What am I telling myself about this?" Because between what happens and how you feel, there is a space. That space is perception. And in that space, you are free. We live in a culture that confuses expression with strength. We are taught to speak our truth and feel everything fully. But the Stoics ask, at what cost? Not every impulse deserves your voice. Not every emotion demands a reaction. Some fires are best observed, not fed. To be calm does not mean to be numb. It means to feel deeply without being ruled blindly. Anger may rise, fear may whisper, but you do not hand them the wheel. You acknowledge them and choose differently. Emotional discipline is not suppression, it is direction. Marcus Aurelius, writing alone by candlelight after battles and betrayal, said, "How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it?" That is the Stoic insight. Uncontrolled emotion multiplies suffering. A single insult becomes a spiral. A minor problem, a meltdown. But only if you allow it. Neuroscience now confirms what the Stoics knew intuitively. Emotions surge, but they also pass. The average emotional wave lasts 90 seconds, unless we prolong it with rumination. The longer we replay, reframe, and resist, the more deeply it carves its path into us. Stoicism trains the mind like a muscle. You don't wait until the storm to practice stillness. You rehearse it daily, in traffic, in disagreement, in disappointment. You learn to sit with discomfort like an old friend, not an invader, because the calmest person in the room isn't the one who feels nothing. It's the one who controls everything worth controlling, their breath, their tone, their response, not because they are cold, but because they are clear. So the next time your emotions rise like a storm, ask yourself, must I follow this? Must I speak now? Must I act? And sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is to wait and let the fire pass without letting it burn you. In a world obsessed with outcomes, the Stoics turned inward. They believed that true calm, the kind that doesn't crack under pressure, comes from one thing: virtue. Not achievement, not approval, not control, but the quiet alignment between who you are and what you believe is right. Virtue, in Stoic thought, is not religious morality. It's practical strength, courage, justice, wisdom, temperance. These aren't decorations of character, they are the foundation. The more you root yourself in them, the less fragile you become. Because storms can shake trees, but not the mountain beneath them. When your peace is built on things the world can take, wealth, reputation, power, then your peace is never safe. But when it's built on values, no one can reach it but you. The Stoics called this the inner citadel, a fortress of principle, untouched by external events. Modern behavioral science supports this ancient claim. People who live in accordance with their values, even when it costs them, report higher well-being, lower anxiety, and greater resilience. Because there's a kind of serenity that only comes when your actions reflect your deepest beliefs. You may lose a job, be misunderstood, face betrayal. But if you stayed true to what you know is right, there's nothing to regret. The world can shake your circumstances, but not your integrity. And when you know that, you become unshakable. The Stoic doesn't float above life. They're not indifferent. They simply build their foundation where it cannot be broken. They don't aim to avoid difficulty. They aim to meet it cleanly, with honesty, discipline, and grace. So ask yourself, what do I stand for when everything else falls away? Because if you can answer that and live by it, then the world can scream, crumble, and twist. But inside, you will remain whole. Attachment is not love. It is fear dressed in desire, fear of loss, fear of change, fear that without this one thing, or person, or role, you are less than whole. The Stoics saw this clearly. Suffering often begins not with pain itself, but with the refusal to let go. To be detached doesn't mean you don't care. It means you don't cling. You engage fully, love deeply, contribute honestly, but without the illusion that you can possess anything forever. Everything borrowed must be returned, and if you understand this, life becomes lighter. Seneca wrote, "Never say, 'I have lost it,' but only, 'I have given it back.'" That shift, from ownership to stewardship, frees us. You don't control outcomes, but you do control your relationship to them. Cling, and you suffer. Release, and you breathe. Modern neuroscience agrees. The brain's default mode network, linked to attachment and self-referencing, is calmed when we practice acceptance. Mindfulness, detachment, surrender, these are not spiritual luxuries. They're tools for psychological survival. What would happen if you held life with open hands? If you loved without grasping, worked without needing constant reward, helped without needing to be seen? Then you would be free. Not because the world is stable, but because your peace no longer depends on it. In detachment, there is clarity, a space between what you do and who you are, a silence that isn't empty, but full of presence. You realize you were never your title, your following, your possessions. You are something quieter, and deeper, and freer. So when the world tightens its grip, let go. Not in despair, but in trust. Trust that nothing real is ever truly lost. And even if all things fall away, the self that remains is enough. The future is a story, the past a shadow. Yet most of us live there, in regrets, in fears, in hypothetical disasters that haven't even happened. We miss the moment in front of us while trying to predict or repair moments already gone. The Stoics called this the greatest tragedy, abandoning the present for illusions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." He didn't mean don't plan, don't reflect. He meant don't dwell. Don't dissolve your energy into time you can't touch. What you can touch, what you can shape, is always now. It sounds simple, but it's a discipline. To return to the present again and again, especially when life is painful, uncertain, or disappointing. The mind wants to escape, but the Stoic trains it to stay. Because peace isn't found in perfect conditions, it's found in undivided attention. Modern science supports this ancient truth. Mindfulness-based practices improve focus, reduce anxiety, and rewire the brain's ability to regulate emotion. Why? Because when we are truly present, we are no longer spiraling. We are grounded. There is power in paying attention to this breath, this task, this conversation. You can't solve tomorrow now, and you can't rewrite yesterday, but you can be fully here. And sometimes, that presence alone is what heals you. Even amidst chaos, the present is always calm, because it is the only thing that actually exists. And once you realize that, you can stop running, you can stop bracing, you can finally rest. So take a breath, let it be enough. The world may spin, scream, and scatter, but you are right here. And here, in this quiet, is where peace waits. There is a point beyond resistance, beyond even acceptance. It's a quiet revolution of the soul, when you no longer fight your fate, but embrace it. Not with bitterness, not with resignation, but with something strange and powerful. Love. The Stoics called it amor fati, love of fate. It doesn't mean everything that happens is good. It means everything that happens can be used for good. Every failure, every loss, every detour. You don't just endure it, you transform it into strength, into clarity, into peace. Nietzsche would later echo this in fiercer terms. My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. This is not passive acceptance. This is a radical act of courage, to say yes, not only to joy, but to suffering, not only to light, but to shadow. Modern psychology now recognizes this mindset as post-traumatic growth. When hardship doesn't break you, it builds you. People who integrate their pain, not escape it, often find new meaning, deeper resilience, even beauty. The Stoics knew this long before the data did. To love your fate is not to seek misfortune. It's to no longer fear it. Because you've discovered something stronger inside you than anything that can happen to you. You become an alchemist of experience, turning what others would call tragedy into wisdom. And in that moment, you are truly free. Free from the need to control the uncontrollable. Free from resentment. Free to live not just calmly, but with full-hearted affirmation. The world may remain chaotic, but inside, you are no longer resisting life. You are cooperating with it. So ask yourself, what would it look like to stop fighting your path and start loving it? Not just the high points, but the bends, the breaks, the silences. Because perhaps peace isn't found in escaping the storm. It's found in dancing with the rain. We began this journey witnessing a world in chaos, where minds unravel and storms rage both outside and within. Yet here we stand, not untouched, but unbroken. Because calm isn't the absence of turmoil. It's the presence of a sanctuary, a refuge built by the choices we make every moment. Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot control the wind, we can adjust our sails. It's not a call to passivity, but to active engagement with life on our terms, grounded in perception, guided by virtue, disciplined in emotion, free through detachment, anchored in the present, and ultimately, embracing our fate. This sanctuary is not a place, but a practice, a way of being that we cultivate. One breath, one thought, one choice at a time. It asks us to meet life's storms not with panic, but with purpose, not with chaos, but with clarity. Imagine the power of standing firm when others sway, of feeling peace when others despair, of acting wisely when others react blindly. This is not a fantasy. It is within reach, because every human has this capacity to be the calm in the storm. So take this with you. Your mind is a garden. Tend it carefully. Choose your seeds, thoughts of courage, kindness, and patience. Pull the weeds of fear and anger, and know that in doing so, you create not only calm for yourself, but a quiet strength that radiates outward. The world will continue to spin wild and fast. People will lose their minds, but you have the power to remain steady, to breathe deeply, to live fully, to stay calm. And in that calmness, you will find freedom. Now, it's your turn. When the world around you spins into madness, choose to be the still point. Tend your mind like a garden. Let go of what you can't control. Embrace your fate with open arms. Because in your calm lies your greatest strength, and the freedom to live fully no matter the storm. Stay calm, stay strong, and watch how everything changes.